I didn't think anything was wrong with the job. It was a quiet suburban gas station, 24 hours, mostly empty after midnight. My night shift started at 11 o'clock at night, and most nights nothing happened. But around my third week working there, something strange started happening. The same man began visiting the gas station every night, always the same time, 2:17 in the morning. He never bought anything, he never spoke to me. He just walked into the store, stood there for a few seconds, and then left. At first, I thought he was just another late night customer, but after a while, I realized something that still bothers me today. The man who kept coming into the store was always looking at me, like he knew something I didn't. Welcome back under this lamplight. Tonight's story is about a man working the night shift at a quiet suburban gas station, a job most people would consider boring. But sometimes, when you work alone long enough, the silence starts doing strange things to your mind. This is a story of what happened to a man during one long night shift at a place that may not be as normal as it seemed. I started working there after the previous employee suddenly quit. At least that's what my manager told me. The gas station sat on the edge of a quiet suburb outside a mid-sized American town. Not exactly rural, but not busy either. After midnight, traffic almost disappeared. Sometimes an hour would pass without a single car pulling in. My job was simple: run the register, stock drinks, clean the coffee machine, and mostly just stay awake. The first couple of weeks were normal. The occasional drunk customer, a few truck driver stopping for coffee, nothing unusual. But the manager did mention something strange during my first day. He told me the previous worker had left without notice. Just stopped showing up. No explanation, no resignation, no phone call. They simply vanished. At the time, I didn't think much about it. People quit bad job all the time. But now, looking back, I think that might have been the first warning. It started during my third week. One night around 2 in the morning, a man walked in. He looked normal enough, maybe mid-40s, wearing a dark jacket. But something about him fell off. Not threatening, just strange. He didn't grab anything from the shelf. He didn't walk toward the drinks. He just stood near the middle of the store, looking around. After about 10 seconds, he walked out. I assumed he forgot his wallet or something. But the next night, he came back. Same time, 2:17 in the morning. Same thing. Walked in, stand there, leave. No words, no purchase. The third night, it happened again. That's when I start paying attention. Because people don't accidentally show up at the same gas station at the exact same time every night. By the fifth night, I finally asked him something. When he walked in, I said, "Can I help you with anything?" He looked at me for a few seconds, Then he said something strange. He said, "You're new." Then he turned around and walked out. After that night, I started noticing little things about the station, things that didn't quite make sense. The clocks sometimes skipped minutes. The security camera occasionally froze for a few seconds. Customer would mention things I didn't remember happening. One woman insisted she had been there earlier that night, but I was sure she hadn't. Another man told me I had already helped him find the restroom, but it was the first time I had seen him. At first, I assumed I was just tired. Working night shifts mess with your head. Your sleep schedule gets weird. Your memory gets foggy. But then something happened that made me question everything. One night, during a slow moment, I checked the security footage. I wanted to see the man who kept visiting. So, I rewound the camera. 2:17 a.m. Just like always, the man walked in, stood there in the center of the store, looked around, and then he looked directly at the camera. But what he did next made my stomach drop. He pointed at the screen and mouthed two words, "You again." The next morning, I told my manager about the man. I expected him to laugh it off, but instead, he went quiet. Then he asked me a question. "What time did you say he comes in?" When I told him 2:17, his expression changed. He walked into the back office and checked something on the computer. Then he asked another question. "Did he buy anything?" I said no. The manager sighed. Then he said something strange. "That's exactly what the last guy said." The manager eventually told me something he probably shouldn't have. The previous employee had complained about a man visiting the store every night. Same description, same time, 2:17 in the morning. At first, they thought the worker was just imagining things. But then something strange happened. The employee started reporting gaps in time, moments where he couldn't remember what he had been doing, moments where the customer claimed they had spoken to him, but he had no memory of the conversation. And then one night, he didn't come to work. His car was later found parked behind the gas station, but he was gone. No one ever found him. After hearing that story, I tried convincing myself it was just coincidence. But that night, when 2:17 came again, the man returned. This time, I decided to confront him. When he walked into the store, I stepped out from behind the counter. I asked him directly, "Why do you keep coming here?" He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said something that still keeps me awake at night. He said, "Because you are not supposed to be here." I asked him what that meant, but he just smiled. Then he said, "You'll understand soon," and walked out. After that night, things got worse. Customers started acting like they knew me, like they had seen me working there for months. But I had only been there a few weeks. Then one night, I checked the security footage again, and what I saw made my blood run cold. The footage from 2 weeks before I started working there showed someone standing behind the counter, running the register, helping customers, wearing the same uniform, same posture, same face. It was me, working there before I was ever hired. I quit the job 2 days later. I never went back, but sometimes I still wonder about that gas station, about the man who kept visiting every night, and about what he said to me, because the last time I saw him, as he walked out the door, he looked back at me and said, "You finally figured it out." And sometimes late at night, I still think about something. What if the reason the previous worker disappeared was because the station needed someone to replace him? And that was the story of a quiet suburban gas station and a night shift worker who had been stepped into something that wasn't meant for him. Tell me what you think. Was it exhaustion, a trick of a mind, or something far stranger? And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, because next time, under this lamplight, I will be sharing another story that might make you question what really happened during the night shift. Good night.